Channel Sports Central beginning every college football game preview and prediction on the 2020 Pac-12 championship game between the USC Trojans and the Oregon Ducks, two teams of which who have had good seasons, especially USC on their side, who's currently 5-0, ranked 13th in the nation, and both teams are playing for a New Year's Six bowl bid here in this matchup. So lots at stake here. We're going over your full game preview and prediction on this here today, starting out with your team trends. And USC beat UCLA previously 43-30. It was the final score there. And even though that was kind of a close game, a little bit close for comfort, still USC got the win, and a win's a win. USC is still undefeated at 5-0. Oregon, meanwhile, has had a really tough stretch. I mean, they lost to California last week, 21-17, or a couple weeks ago. Then they also lost to Oregon State, 41-38. So they've had two losses in a row, and they're currently sitting at 3-2. But either way, I think Oregon is still a very talented team that is still capable of winning this game, mainly because of just how much talent that this team has in general. Like, we've seen the talent that this team has over the past few games, and even though they've lost a couple games straight, those games were still very close, and you also have to consider that. This game's coming out on Friday, December 18th, 5 p.m. Pacific time in LA. The spread currently says USC by 3. ESPN FPI is going USC 56%, and the Vegas prediction is also going with USC here 38-34. Being the current projected final score. So USC is favored here, which is expected, obviously, considering they've got two more wins than Oregon does right now. But something that's a little bit interesting about this game is that when it was USC and Washington, when it was supposed to be USC and the Huskies, USC was actually favored by 6.5 there. But when Oregon gets replaced with Washington, that actually moves the spread down to only by 3, which the spread's only 3 right now for USC. So it's a little bit interesting there how that all works. Obviously, I mean, Oregon's still a team that has won many more Pac-12 championships than Washington has in recent years, but still, it's kind of something interesting you got to note there. But the ESPN FPI is going USC 56%, so USC is favored here in this matchup in all three sources by kind of a small amount, which is kind of expected. But here's your stat comparison for this game. USC's got 35 points per game, 25 points allowed. They had 319 pass yards a game, 109 rush yards, and then for yards allowed, they had 238 passing and then 157 rushing. As for Oregon, they had 34 points per game, 20 points allowed. They had 277 pass yards a game, 189 rush yards, and for yards allowed, they got 235 passing and then 184 rushing. So really, for both sides here, both teams are really good on the offensive side. So that leads me to believe that we could see a possible high-scoring game here. But I mean, for USC, you got 319 pass yards a game, and that just really shows how good Keaton Slovis has been in this season. I mean, if you look at his stats, he's put up 1,600 yards on the year with 15 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. As for Oregon, though, I mean, they got Tyler Shuck, who's put up a good season as well, 1,300 yards, 11 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions, which, I mean, those stats might not look as good at first, but if you consider that he is, I mean, this is only his first year starting for Oregon, so yeah, he's still a very young quarterback, and he's got a lot of potential moving forward. But kind of for USC here, I mean, if you think about it, this is kind of an unfortunate event that Oregon got, or that Washington got replaced by Oregon, because I feel like in USC's position, I mean, Washington would probably be an easier team to beat, mainly because, I mean, Oregon has won so many more Pac-12 championships in recent years, and when you have that momentum going, I mean, Oregon, for them, like, this ain't much of a big deal for them to win a Pac-12 championship, because, I mean, they've done it so much recently, and they've got the experience of doing that. So, I mean, honestly, personally, for USC, I mean, this honestly is probably a tougher matchup against Oregon than it would have been against Washington. But either way, I still think USC is the more talented team coming into this matchup. And I do believe that they're also the best team in the Pac-12 coming into this game, considering they're still undefeated. And honestly, I feel like they're a mile ahead most other Pac-12 teams. But yeah, both teams are still playing for a New Year's Six bowl bid here. So there's a lot at stake here in this matchup. Because the winner is more than likely going to be going to the Fiesta Bowl. It doesn't matter whether it's Oregon or USC, the winner of this game will be going to a New Year's Six bowl game. So a lot is at stake here in this matchup, mainly because of that as well. But yeah, I mean, USC is still has yet to take a loss, even though they've had a few close games down the stretch. I mean, USC has still played very well, and they still have gotten a couple of really good wins. Like, we saw them blow out Utah. They had a blowout win over Washington State, which both teams are, out of those two, are both pretty good. So really, USC has gotten a couple of good wins down the stretch, and they're still undefeated. And the only difference there between USC and Oregon is that USC's got 2 more wins than Oregon does. But in the end, I got to go with USC here. It's going to be very close, and I honestly am not very confident with predicting this game. I think this one could easily go either way. Oregon's certainly got the potential to win another conference championship, mainly because we've seen them do it so many times over the past few years. I mean, it has just become normal for Oregon, but for USC, I think this is USC's year. I think this is their their season to finally win a conference championship, and they're going to get it done, and they're going to get the win, 31-27 being the final score. But I certainly could see this game being very close. I do think we could possibly see a shootout as well. That is certainly in the possibility, but I'm not predicting a shootout. I'm just going to go 31-27 here, which really isn't all that high of a score there, but your probability is going to be 60% towards the Trojans. So I'm going with USC here by 60%, but once again, I feel like Oregon could easily win this matchup. Let me know your thoughts and comments below, though, on this matchup, and if you enjoyed this preview, drop a like on it and subscribe as well if you're not already yet. As it really helps out the channel, I'd really appreciate that. But once again, thanks again for watching. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central, and I'll see you all later.